Gooseworks confirmed it, so you're wrong. I've seen this sentence alone and more discussions than any other actual argument ever has, and I think that's a huge problem. Lately, I have noticed this happening more and more in fandoms, especially in the Amazing Digital Circus. Someone interprets a scene or a character differently from what the creator intended, and the conversation just ends. Not because anyone magically changed their mind, but because people confuse creator intent and storytelling. So today I want to talk about creator statements, why I think they're valuable, where I think fans give them a little bit too much power, and why I don't think they should automatically end every discussion, especially for a show like TADC. Younger fans especially tend to lean hard on creator statements when interpreting a show, and social media has made this easier than ever. Creators can talk to fans directly now, explain their intentions, drop behind-the-scene details, and sometimes even accidentally spoil things before they even happen in the actual show. Gooseworks does this too. She shared Kaufmo's and Ribbit's real names, bits of world building, ideas that never made the final cut, and honestly, I love this stuff. Where it gets a bit more complicated though is when outside information is used to settle arguments about the themes, arcs, or facts that are actually central to understanding the story. Not every fan follows Gooseworks on social media, so people just walk away with genuinely different interpretations because they just didn't have access to the context that exists outside the show. Take Jax for example. Goose has called him one of the main characters, which left a lot of viewers feeling confused because that's just not how he was introduced. He is passive for half the show, then he suddenly gets pulled into the spotlight. That doesn't make her statement false. I mean, it's her show. If she says that Jax is the MC, then he is. But that doesn't mean the viewer reactions weren't valid. They very much were. That's genuinely how the show read to a lot of people, because Jax just wasn't framed as the MC early on. Abstraction is another concept mostly explained outside of the show. Gooseworks suggested that it represents giving up, ending it all, and I don't fully buy that reading, and here's why. Abstracted characters are still there mentally and physically, which is kind of the opposite of the intended metaphor. The cast also frames abstraction as something that happens after someone goes crazy, especially in the pilot.
I think Kaufmo's gone insane.
I mean, no offense, Kinger, but I always thought you would be next.
He's crazy.
Which doesn't map clearly onto real life. And after Jax abstracts, the episode ends on a hopeful note and not on the kind of permanent, irreversible loss that the metaphor is supposed to represent. And don't get me wrong, none of this makes Gooseworks wrong about what she intended. It just means that the story, as it actually plays out on screen, communicated something a little bit different to me and other fans. But where mixed messages really start to show up is when Gooseworks told fans outright that they don't need her permission to interpret characters like Jax however they want. And that's a really healthy stance in my opinion. But she also expressed frustration that fans are not reading things the way she intended. And I think that contradiction, interpret freely alongside you're doing it wrong, is part of what fuels fans to fight each other and weaponize her statements to shut down discussion. And to be clear, episode 9 100% confirms that Jax is trans. That's not up for debate, but the hints that earlier episodes gave us were subtle enough that plenty of fans just built different readings of him over months or even years. And they didn't drop those readings the moment new information arrived. That's just how some people process slow burn character reveals. And most people get attached to their original interpretations to the point that they can accept what's canon, but they just don't want to drop the interpretation. I personally tend to stick to what's canon and don't really have headcanons, but I could understand why people wouldn't wanna just change what they thought about a character for years, especially if they write fanfictions, have different alternative universes created, or just want to make art and projects based on their interpretation. I've seen trans people that don't relate to Jax at all and didn't realize he was supposed to be trans, and I've seen people that after episode 5 were headcanoning Jax as trans instantly. Again, these are all interpretations, and to me they're all valid. I don't see no reason why I should trash another person's interpretation. TADC had very subtle writing about Jax early on, so I honestly expected this to happen. And I get Gooseworks' frustration too. Imagine spending years planting clues and watching people miss them, or land somewhere completely different. That would be so frustrating. But at the same time, stories belong to the audience too. We experience them in a way that the writer never gets to. Gooseworks is not the recipient of her own story. Things that are obvious to her aren't always obvious to fans. And this isn't unique to TADC. Alan Moore, for example, built Rorschach to be a warning, a bad example, a character that readers are supposed to hate. But instead, fans actually identified with this murderous vigilante with a black and white sense of morality. And this just goes to show that what creators intend and what audiences actually experience are two different things. They don't always line up. When a fandom independently arrives at different readings, that's either a sign that the story genuinely supports multiple interpretations, or a sign that some idea wasn't communicated as clearly as the creator thinks it was. And this is really the core of my argument. Goose Confirmed It answers one question: what she intended. It doesn't answer whether the show actually communicated that idea clearly on its own. Authorial intent and effective storytelling are two different conversations. Both matter, of course, but at the end of the day, if people have different interpretations, a creator can clarify what they intended, but they can't change the experience that viewers already had while watching the story. And here's what actually bums me out. Some of the most important context for understanding TADC exists outside of the show. I love behind-the-scenes trivia as much as anyone else, but when outside explanation becomes necessary to understand a core theme or character motivation, I start wondering whether those ideas could have been communicated more clearly in the show itself. Ideally, the story should stand on its own, and creator statements shouldn't be necessary to understanding what's going on. And fandom shouldn't be about proving who's objectively right about a character or a theme. This is about interpretation, and interpretation is subjective by nature. What I think we should be focusing on is figuring out why different people experience the same story differently. That's a more interesting conversation than just calling someone media illiterate or replying to a conversation with a screenshot of a tweet like it's a mic drop or something. Stories aren't just meant to be watched, they're meant to be interpreted and internalized. And I think TADC gave its audience a lot of room to do exactly that. But hey, that's just me. Let me know what you think. You agree? You disagree? Did you ever call someone media illiterate? Nah, you didn't. You're chill, right? I know you are. Maybe you can leave a like, subscribe, join my Discord server. We would love to have you. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching.